Hi, it's Becky from PowerToolsWithThread.com. That's my blog. I am going to show you how to make the lemonade pitcher. It's called Life is Sweet from the Red, White, and Bloom quilt kit from Kimberbell. This is not the sew along. This is a block I promised that I would get done this week. And I will include this video as part of the sew along. I'm actually going to do an embroider along for the entire quilt starting on April 26th. And if you're interested in doing that with me, you can hop over to my blog, PowerToolsWithThread.com, go to calendar of events, and there you will see the dates and all of the products that you need and whatnot with links to them. One of the things I do need to let you know is that this quilt is very popular, and everywhere I've gone lately they seem to be sold out of things this week because it just released this week. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm holding off until the last week of April to do the sew along, embroider along, so that if you can't get your products this week, you've got some time to do that when, and get all of your products together and everything, and your fabric, all of your fabric and whatnot. There's a couple of things I want to tell you first, and this is really going to apply to all of your blocks. If you're new to embroidery, I hope that you join us. If you have a sewing machine that is a sewing and embroidery combo, you need to break out the embroidery arm, put it on there, and get stitching with us. So, just watch the video. I'll go step by step, take it really slow. I will tell you right now, I'm no expert, okay? I've just been at this a long time, and I have a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't. So that's only because I've made my share of mistakes, and I hope I save you the trouble. When you're prepping your fabric, there are several different kinds of starches and fabric prep products that are out on the market. One of them is Terrio Magic. You may have seen that before out there. That's a very strong fabric stiffener. I've never used that. I hear that it's very good. If you have it, you may want to use it. I use the, I can't find the cap. Who knows where it is around here. I just moved into this room and I couldn't find my head if it wasn't on my neck right now. It's a mess. So I like to use Faultless Heavy Finish starch. This stuff, you can find it in any grocery store, and it works really well. And then in this container here, this misting container, I have Mary Ellen's Best Press. Now, the difference between these two products, between Best Press and starch, is that this is full of fabric stiffeners. This is full of fabric relaxers. So, and then one step down from Best Press would be a new product that's out called Flatter. It's even more of a fiber, it has fiber relaxing agents in it. And when you're trying to get super tight and smooth seams, these products, this Mary Ellen's Best Pressed and Flatter have, they work very well for that, to really flatten out your blocks. However, I use that once the sewing is finished, when I'm putting a quilt together. So I won't be using this until all the blocks are finished. What I use to prep my fabric is just a heavy starch. I spray the back of the fabric. Here's the fabric for the second part of this. This is a two-part block, and this is the back of the fabric, and then here's the front. And so I laid the fabric down on my ironing board. I don't saturate it, but I gave it a pretty good coating of the starch. I let it sit about 20 to 30 seconds and really kind of soak into the fibers. And then when I iron, I do not iron on the diagonal to the grain. You always want to iron straight up and down and side to side. I usually only make 90-degree turns with my iron or a pass. You never want to go and do a diagonal, because what happens is the fibers in the grain they'll warp, and you almost can't undo that, and you may not get that good of a result. I also never use steam. I always use just a nice hot iron, and I only go up and down, or right to left, as the case may be here. So I did that with both of these pieces. You really want to get all of the wrinkles out, and you want it to have a little bit of body, and you're going to be very happy with your result that way. Now the lemons are like a freestanding lace. It's exactly what it is, really. They just make them into little lemons. And they call for water-soluble stabilizer in a 4x4 hoop. And there are several different types of water-soluble stabilizer, and I want to show you 3 of them and tell you which ones will work and which ones won't work. The first one, and the one that I'm going to use, is called a fibrous water-soluble stabilizer. Kimberbell has a water-soluble stabilizer that will work, and you may have found others from other embroidery product manufacturers. This one will work just fine, and I've done a nice tight hooping on it. It sounds like it's going to be just fine on there. There is another kind that is water-soluble. You can almost see through it. It's a nice, strong, it feels like rubber, and this will work as well. This kind of water-soluble stabilizer will work fine if you don't have the fibrous. Another kind of water-soluble stabilizer is what's called a topper. And the topper is very flimsy. See how this kind of floats? It has the consistency of like Glad press and seal, okay? And it's got a lot of stretch to it. This goes on top of towels, something that has a high nap to it, and it just prevents the embroidery stitches from getting buried into that high nap. So this is not the right kind. The perforations from the needle will destroy this, and your whole thing will fall apart in your hoop. So if this is the only kind of water-soluble stabilizer you have, you're going to want to get some other product. You're going to want to get something that is strong, like this, or the fibrous, okay? And so I am going to be using the fibrous kind. There are 3 thread colors that are used in the lemons, and there are 2 parts from the embellishment kit. This is organza silver sparkle. Let me get up close so you guys can see. I think I need a different light. So this is organza silver sparkle. Let me see, I'll hold it up against the red. And you can maybe see how you can see the little silver dots? Okay. So they give you 1 piece of this that is 3x6. You need to cut this in half. So you have 2 pieces of 3x3. And then they give you 1 piece of 3x3 gold mylar. And you're essentially going to make a mylar sandwich is what you're going to do. So you're going to make a mylar sandwich, essentially. You're going to take that 3x6 piece of the silver dot organza. You're going to place it face down in the hoop when we get to that point. And then you're going to take your gold mylar and you're going to place it face up. And then you're going to take that other half of the organza and you're going to place it face up. And this, when it all stitches out, it's going to give you some freestanding lemon slices. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. Kimberbell comes up with the coolest stuff. I want to show you here in the book where it says embroidery files, all right, and the instructions. If they have these little squares, those are thread color changes. And right here it says choose a neutral thread color. That means it doesn't matter really what color you use. When it does that, I normally use the next color that is coming just so that it is less thread changes for me. And then down here it shows you it's going to stitch 3 circles, and then this is organza. You want to tape it down over the circle lines. Then you're going to tape the mylar, and then you're going to tape the organza face up. And then it's going to do some stitching, and then we're going to cut away all of the organza and the mylar, and you're going to have your 3 little lemon slices, and then you need to trim them away from the stabilizer and rinse them in cool water and then let them dry. And while they're drying, we're going to tackle the other half of this and make the picture of lemonade on the red fabric. So for the lemons, you can tell they have this color right here on step 1, and that is the same color as step 2 and step 5. And then there's a lighter yellow on step 3, and step 4 has a white. So there's really only 3 thread colors in this. I'm going to be using a Organ 7511 embroidery needle. And then right here before step number 1, it says change bobbin thread to match top thread. So what I'm going to do is make a bobbin that is the same color as number 1. All right, I'm ready to hoop this stabilizer. I just lay my hoop on it that has this piece here and the arm off the side and cut. That's all I do. I just make sure I've got the, enough that is going to go through and around the entire hoop. Just lay it on there. Does not matter that it is centered or not. You just want to make sure that you have enough where you've got an extra 1/2 inch to 1 inch all the way around on all 4 sides. I really like the dime hoop mat. I'll link to it below. But I like the dime hoop mat because it doesn't slide anywhere. This doesn't go anywhere, and yet it lifts up really easy. It just makes everything stay where I want it to. I use it all the time when I do embroidery. So I'm ready to go to the machine now and start this. All right, this is the Brother Luminaire. This is the XP1 version, and I haven't gotten the upgrade yet. And I want to retrieve my embroidery designs from the machine. I sent them over to the machine wirelessly. I'll put a video right here that shows you how to get the designs off the CD and onto a USB stick from the get-go. And it doesn't matter what kind of embroidery machine you have, especially if you have a sewing embroidery. We're not going to worry about Disney or My Design Center right now. You just need to tell it what module that you want to use. Well, we're going to embroider, so embroidery. And then this screen right here allows you to get designs that are internal to the machine. You can use fonts, you can use monograms. It has frames, it has pretty motifs, there's some more frames, there's some Disney and more designs and whatnot. And then there's a pocket. And this is pretty standard on Brother and Baby Lock machines. The pocket means memory. So I want to get it from inside the machine's memory. If you have a USB stick and you have put it into the machine, you're going to want to touch that little trident looking symbol. That's the universal symbol for USB, and you can pull your designs up that way. I sent them over wirelessly, so I'm going to touch the little wireless icon. And what I'm looking for now is lemons, and everything comes up in alphabetical order. Oh, there they are right there. I'm just going to touch them, and it's loaded it, and I'm just going to tell it set. This is very simple when you do these kind of designs that are already set by the digitizer like Kimberbell. And it's ready to go. Now, let me get in close and let you see. It has all of these different colors right here. You can see it has 5 different color stops. Don't worry about the actual colors on here. You choose the colors you want to use. Just know that color stop number 2 and color stop number 5 are the same color thread. That should make it pretty easy, I would think. So I'm just going to hit embroidery. On this screen right here, it's going to show you need to use the W foot, which is the embroidery foot. And you can use any of the hoops, but you really want to use the smallest one that works with your design. The design finishes at 2.43 by 2.02. There are 7,323 stitches in the design. There are 5 color stops, and it should take about 10 minutes. And then here is a preview of what is the next thing to stitch. And then this gives you your color numbers along with how long each one will take to stitch out. And that's it. That's all that's on there. And then if necessary, we'll go over the needle plus minus button. Hopefully we don't have to do that. So I'm going to put my hoop in. I have a bobbin in here, the same color as the top thread. Whenever you do water-soluble stabilizer type stuff that's going to be freestanding lace, essentially, you definitely want to have your bobbin be the same color so that it looks as good from the back as it does from the front. We're just ready to go. I mean, it's pulled up. I haven't had to do anything to it. And I'm just going to touch the button and let it do its thing. All right, now we need to put the organza down. So if you look in your instructions right here, this is how clear they make this for you guys. So stitch lemon's placement line directly on the stabilizer. That's what we just did. Place one layer of organza right side down, completely covering the placement line, and tape it in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to put everything down and tape them all into place. And they want you to tape in between each layer. You might find it easier to tape the organza itself versus laying it down and then taping it on there. Completely up to you. You want to make sure you don't get any tape that's going to cross into your lemon's lines. I put that on the wrong side, so I'm going to tape the other one because it needs to be face down. It needs to be face down. So I need to put the tape on the back side of this piece, and then I'm going to cover all of my lemon lines. And if you want, make sure that your sparkles are inside the lemons. The more the merrier. Make sure you cover all those stitching lines. Put this on gold side up, silver side down, this little piece of mylar. And now I'm going to put this over it. Now we're ready for the next stitch. It's going to take about 2 minutes. You know, my tape is just like right next to that stitch. Don't be afraid to stop the machine. There, I missed it, but I'm just gonna pull that tape off, and I'm gonna make my tape more narrow, give it a smaller footprint on top of the organza. I think that's better. There we go. Makes me feel better. Okay, I am not going to change the bobbin thread. I'm going to go ahead and leave it yellow, but this is a lighter yellow that I'm using for the next stitch. It's going to take 4 minutes. The reason I'm not going to change it is because the lemon slices, when they're in the quilt block, you only see the front. You don't actually see the back. So to change my thread, I'm going to cut it here. Just going to tie it in a single knot, like this, and tie it both ends through the hole, through the loop. Then I'm going to pull it from in front of the needle and pull it through the machine. It's a really easy way to change your thread colors, and I need to thread my needle. All right, I'm ready to go. We are in stitch number 3. I've got a tail here that didn't get pulled down in. I'm going to stop the machine. I'm going to raise the presser foot. I got my curved embroidery scissors. I'm going to let up, trim. Just that way you don't have anything get stuck in there where it doesn't need to go. I hope we can see this. This color may not show up real well. Have to see. Oh yeah, that looks good. All right, we're all finished. Now it's time for the white thread, but I want you to look. You want to make sure to choose a good contrasting thread. So I chose a pretty dark yellow and then a much lighter yellow so you could see the individual sections. But that turned out really nice. That looks real good. Look at that. See, you're not going to see that because these are inside of the pitcher, the lemonade pitcher, and you're only going to see the front of these. I need to change out my thread. I actually have my white thread is on the thread tree behind my machine in the honorary spot of space number 1 because I use it all the time. I like to put it through that thread guide. And I'm going to change out my bobbin thread to white. We were supposed to trim after stitch number 2. Let's do that right now. No time like the present. It's fine. I recommend you get a flat surface for trimming whenever you do in the hoop projects like this. Don't try to do everything all at once. Do it one layer at a time. Y'all, I'm gonna have that glitter everywhere. I feel like it's Christmas all over again with those Christmas cards we get that have glitter. They just wanted to make sure that you get this extra product away from the stitching before the final stitch happens. So if you skip it the first time like I did, it's okay. I'm gonna have to take one of those lint rollers to my sewing area and get up all this glitter off my cutting table. Don't cut your stabilizer. I'll tell you, if you cut your stabilizer, all right, and you make a hole in it, get yourself another small piece of it that will cover like so much and tape it to the back of your project. And it'll be like Serve Pro, like it never even happened. But try not to do that. That's why you want good curved embroidery scissors. Oh, they're so pretty and sparkly. I love it. When you're using these scissors, you might have a tendency to want to turn and cut them like this. Try to keep the round part of the scissor flat against the project. Okay, now we're caught up. You really don't want to leave anything that's going to show through that final stitch. So trim as close as possible without trimming into the threads or trimming through the stabilizer. That looks pretty good. I think that'll work. Okay. Now we're going to stitch out the rest of this. Uh-oh. Check and rethread the upper thread. Okay. So let me show you what happened. Well, I don't know what happened. It just, oh, you have to thread the needle. That's very helpful. So let me show you what to do if you do that. Oh gosh, I need a glass of wine. I haven't had one yet. Okay, so click the OK button. This is the error notice. Check and rethread the upper thread. I'm going to tell it OK. I want to go back to, it only did like, I don't know, 10 or 20 stitches. I'm going to hit the needle plus minus button. We have a thread and it's showing you what it is about. You can't hardly see it because it's white on white. I'm going to back up. This is the spool, and then here's the individual stitch count that you could go forward or backwards. I'm going to go backwards one spool. I'm going to go backwards. I think that took us back to the first of the white because that's what it looks like here. One more. Right. Okay. And I'm going down. There we go. So I'm right back where I need to be. I'm going to thread my needle. Y'all, it works so much better when you do that. Yeah, we're ready to go. Okay, this looks like it's gonna work great. All right, the last stitch is the dark yellow again. All right, we're all finished. When this last stitch started, it has a jump stitch. It started right here. Let me get in so you can see. I'll show you up real close. I don't know if you can see it. There is a jump stitch right here. You want to get rid of that. Very carefully. Goes from the middle to the edge. Perfect. Okay. Oh, that looks so cute. Look at those. Okay, I'm going to trim the little tails, not the knots. I'm just going to trim these up, and that way nothing hangs out where it's not supposed to outside of a lemon slice when we're not looking. Again, don't cut the knots, just cut the tails. Definitely do not want to cut into that satin stitching. That's a big no-no. So unhoop your project, your little lemons. And you can take some scissors and you want to cut away as much of the stabilizer as possible. Get within 1/4 of an inch all the way around. When you get this wet, it's going to get really, really gluey. But you want these to be wet and soak away all of the stabilizer. You can use lukewarm water or cool water. And then lay them out on a towel to dry. And you can press them between a couple layers of dry, soft toweling. The more stabilizer you get away, the easier it will be to get all of it out. So here's my little lemon slices. That looks cute. It's got sparkles on the back. I'm going to go rinse the stabilizer out of these, and then we will start on the lemonade pitcher.